Speaker, one of the policies the Prime Minister campaigned on was building modular housing.
Speaker, my generation refuses to live in a shipping container.
That's right. That's right. People are not happy with the housing market. Ladies and gents, welcome back to another show. It's another day, another show. My name's Clyde. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button, hit that like while you're at it. Today we're going to be talking about the economy, the little economy that we have left, the housing market, and just how people are trying to survive in this country as it is. One of the things we'll also be talking about is how to get yourself into precious metals. That's right. So stay tuned later in the video. We're actually going to be having a conference later this month where people can join in. I'll be there and we can talk about that. So we'll get into that. Links are in the description down below, but let's get into this. This was the exchange with the, who was the former Deputy Prime Minister and person in charge of the economy for the last 10 years, Chrystia Freeland, talking about what their plans are for us and where we're going to live in the future.
Mr. Speaker, one of the policies the Prime Minister campaigned on was building modular housing. That is a way to get more homes built faster, and we know that by removing barriers to internal trade in our country, we can get a modular housing industry going in our country. Exactly. That is one of the solutions to the housing crisis. I hope the members opposite will be constructive and support this important legislation.
Honourable Member for York Durham.
Mr. Speaker, my generation refuses to live in a shipping container.
Yeah, right. And of course, we know where this exchange went. It went to clutching the pearls and saying, how dare you call it a shipping container? But this is actually what they're talking about. This is what they're talking about. The closet. This is the closet, which is what Freeland wants young Canadians to afford. We tried to warn you. Yeah, this is the kind of house. And literally, they're making homes out of shipping containers. These are some of the homes. Wouldn't this be great to live in? How fantastic would it be to live in this beautiful home made out of shipping containers? That would be great if Canada didn't get cold. You see how thin those walls are? Yeah, Canadians probably want to have insulation, things like that. There's no room for putting the plastic over the windows and stuff like that in these shipping containers. No, this is literally what they're trying to make us live in the future. And these are people, this isn't like mockery on X. This is container companies that make container homes, advertising this stuff. Sorry, Canadians want to live in a real home. We just can't afford to live in real homes. So this is what we're being. You're gonna get in get in the cubicle and eat your bugs is what they want you to do. This is where we're at with it. But this is the reality of the situation. Major breaking. New stats. Can data shows that real wages in Canada have only grown by 20% in 45 years. But the real housing prices have gone up by 300% during that time. This is the reality of the situation. And with unfettered immigration, which is largely targeting the youth, well, youth unemployment rate has reached 20% for young men in Canada. Wow, isn't that fantastic? Isn't that great? You know, young Canadian men are just not able to get jobs, let alone be able to afford any of this stuff. But as long as those housing prices don't ever come down, am I right? Am I right? Because this is really where we're at. This is the housing minister, the new housing minister, who refuses to even acknowledge the idea or, humor the idea that housing prices might come down one day.
Affordable housing.
Do you think home prices need to go down?
No, I think that we need to deliver more supply, make sure the market is stable. It's a huge part of our economy. We need to be delivering more affordable housing. The government of Canada has not been building affordable housing since the 90s. and we've created a huge shortage across Canada. That's where the big need is right now, and I'm very encouraged that the Prime Minister.
So where this guy's from, Vancouver and the surrounding areas, what would you consider affordable housing? Townhouses are being built that are being sold for in the million plus territory. So a townhouse, is that not an affordable house? The reality is that housing prices need to come down. They need to fall. But in order for that to happen, you'd have to have a lot of people losing their equity. And those were the people with those elbows up during that last election. Those are the people who voted for the Liberals. They don't want to lose any of that equity. But equity is going to be lost at some point, because this is our economy. This is Mark Nixon. He's reporting on this one. Breaking: Canada is dead last in economic growth among developed nations. And just look at the chart. It's absolutely ridiculous. If dead last were number one, we're number one. That's right. 0.5% GDP per capita growth in 10 years. 0.5% GDP per capita growth in 10 years. I have to repeat that. It is absolutely insane. Germany, which is the second worst, grew 10 times more than that, with almost 5% GDP growth. And that's with all of their socialism. They have guaranteed all kinds of things in their economy that they just blow all their money at. But yet they still are able to afford that, because why? They have a manufacturing base. They make things in Germany. We don't make things in Canada. And in fact, we only usually take raw goods and send them out. Well, I guess we're not going to do that anymore, because that goes against the ideas of this government, as we've seen over the past 10 years and into the future, because that's our government now. U.S. grew 40 times more, our neighbors to the south, which is the only reason why we probably even have the 0.5 at all, because our biggest commodity in Canada is our proximity to the United States, after all. This is this way. If this was a race, we didn't just lose, we face planted and rolled backwards. In the real estate market, it's hurting. It's absolutely hurting. This week's top story is Canadian real estate demand erodes and unemployment soars. The big story in real estate is that it's stagnant. It's sitting there. Inventory is higher than it's ever been, and sales are the worst they've ever been. When we're talking all the metropolitans, so Toronto, Vancouver, you name it, all these places, the sales are just falling through the floor. And what's going to happen? Well, that's going to trickle out everywhere else, because nobody wants to buy this stuff. It's way overpriced, and nobody wants to bring the prices down, even though they've come down about 20% in recent time. But this is exactly where we're at with this. The economic long wave, saying in a thread, the Great Canadian Reset is coming. 3 of history's most powerful economic cycles are converging in our $2.6 trillion housing market. This isn't just another correction. It's a complete system rewrite. Here's what you need to know. And the thread goes on and on and on. And I'll leave a link in the description so you can go through the entire thread. But I thought this was very important for people to understand. Canadian warning signs are everywhere. Mortgage payments are 40% of income. This is a huge amount of people's income just going to paying a mortgage. If you're a renter, it's even higher than that. It's crazy. If you're trying to stay out of the housing market just to watch the bubble inflate and then burst, like myself, well, you got screwed. That's just the way that is. Variable rates resetting 3 to 4% higher. Real estate is 70% of household wealth. If that goes down, you're going to lose all that wealth. A lot of people, there's so many people that are over leveraged. They got equity in these homes, and they took out loans based on the equity that the future gains that they might have gotten. That might evaporate overnight. We see that speculation at historic extremes. It's really unbelievable the way things have been going. And this is why I've been encouraging people to get into a harder asset, at least part of your savings, something like that, to stave off the inflation that's coming, to try to thwart this whole thing. The Bank of Canada is going to lower rates. They're going to cut rates again and again. And inflation is higher. It's out of control. And if you look at the CPI numbers, Those are flubbed. Inflation is actually a lot higher than they're saying. They just got to remove things like food and stuff from food and rent, and housing costs. They remove those from the consumer price index, and then all of a sudden the consumer price index doesn't look so bad. But this is why people are getting into precious metals, gold, silver. If you don't have a ton and you just want to have something that if there is an economic situation, you'll have small bits of silver that you can actually do trades with. If the housing market collapses and it takes out the Canadian dollar, I mean, this is something you're going to want to have on hand, stuff like that. And these are the guys to get you into that. There's going to be a conference coming up on the 24th, I believe it is. The link will be in the description down below. And this will be just for the members of this channel. So check it out. This is Bryce Wade. I had him on to ask him questions about buying gold and silver, and he had some really, really good insights. So let's get into that particularly. Bryce, people have their savings. It's all tied up in RSPs. Is there a way to take some of that and put it into precious metals?
Yeah, I think it's really important for everybody to understand what an RSP and what a registered account is. So basically, in a nutshell, an RSP or the other registered accounts like TFSAs and LIRAs, LIRAs, are effectively tax-deferred accounts. The idea behind them is what was drilled into us as kids, is that you put your money away in an RSP when you're paying more taxes because you're earning more, and at the end of your life, when you're not earning as much, then you take that money out at a lower tax bracket so you don't get taxed as heavily. What is actually happening with that is they're locking your money in so you can't use it. I've talked to a lot of clients that have issues getting their money out at the end of their life or the end of when they're retiring, and what you can do to protect that, because a lot of RSPs and registered accounts are invested in the stock market. So if you're invested in the stock market for the last 20 odd years, or at least since the GFC in 2007 2008, you did pretty well because everything was going up with the stock market. But now when we're in time of chaos, things are very chaotic, and there's a lot more uncertainty and volatility. And so if you're still in the market with your retirement, you might lose a lot of your retirement money if something like 2007 2008 happens again. So you're able to, with us, protect some of that investment, or all of that investment if you want, with precious metals. So you can basically guarantee that your retirement funds will be there at the end if and when you need them. So that's one of the kind of the biggest things that we do for people, especially the retirees or people that are going to retire soon, is I just want to protect what I have, and this is one of the best ways that you can do it, so you can sleep well at night.
Great thing to hear from them. So go check them out. The link is in the description down below, and as well as the link for the conference. This is going to be a conference just for viewers of this channel. So tune into that. That will be fantastic. But this is where we're at with our economy in Canada. We thought, hey, perhaps we might get those conservatives in. They'll come in with some fiscal responsibility. That's not happening. So how is it that you're going to be able to protect yourself as we move forward? Do you want to live in the cubicle? Do you want to get in your pod and eat your bugs? Let me know in the comments down below. It is unprecedented times here in Canada. We haven't seen anything like this before, and I don't know if we will again. Let me know what you think. We'll see you in the next one. Keep on trucking.